Margarita, known better as Rita, was born near Cascia in 1381 at Rocca Porena. Her parents were known to be peacemakers, and it was part of the ongoing feud between the Guelfi and Ghibellini. There were families like this who tried to find conciliation and some kind of harmony amongst civil strife. And she did the same. She had a desire in her childhood to become a nun, but her parents had other ideas, and already at the age of 13 she had been given in future marriage to a certain Paolo, who would have been well enough to do, but of a bad disposition, and he didn't treat her well. But there were miraculous events throughout her life. Even in childhood, they saw these bees, white bees, going in and out of her mouth, but it didn't do any harm. Indeed, a worker nearby had damaged his hand, his wrist, very badly, and was running, wanting help, and came across this element of danger for the child and tried to get rid of these bees, but when he put his hand there, it was miraculously healed. These bees still appear to this day. At this time of year, they come out of the place near where she worked, in the monastery. They have a place in the wall, and they only come out around this feast, and then they go back. And they were taken to Pope Urban VIII in the 1600s, and he was amazed. There are other prodigies as well linked with the saint. The very fact of entering the monastery at all was one. She had a great devotion to St. Augustine, to St. John the Baptist, and Nicola the Tolentino, and she invoked their help to obtain peace after the murder of her husband and to reconcile the factions, lest there be vendetta. But not only that, they managed to get her into the enclosure after repeated refusals from the community. She was a widow, and there was this ongoing feud which didn't help the community. They didn't want it inside. There was actually one of the nuns who belonged to one of the families concerned. But these three patron saints miraculously got her in. Her body was transported in the night, and there was no way it could get in. And they found her in the enclosure and realized that this was the Lord's will. And she was put by the well, where she would have to have water regularly to do the menial tasks that she had until death, until at least she was bedridden. The water was what she needed for cooking, for washing, for cleaning. And there also has flowered the dry plant, the dead plant, that by obedience she was putting into some kind of order on a daily basis by watering it, hoping against hope, and eventually it did flower. It's the present vine in the same area of the monastery. And the miracle of the roses is something which is linked with what happened when she was on her deathbed. Her cousin asked her, was there anything that she wanted before she died? And she requested a a rose and 2 figs from the family home. Lo and behold, there was a rose in the month of January that had flowered, and the figs were also found, and these were brought. And to this day, roses are linked with her. And when there is a miracle of intercession from heaven, there is also the accompanying perfume of roses. In fact, on this day, years ago, in the monastery, because she was not feasted in the community, I feasted her quietly by a private mass in her honour. And lo and behold, the whole of the Carolingian chapel was filled with a wonderful perfume of roses, without a single rose being there at all for the whole of the celebration. And at Cascia itself, there is an amazing odour of roses. I was flabbergasted by it when concelebrating there years ago. She answers, and she is the saint of the impossible, and also of reconciliation and patience and humility, and enduring bad marriages. Many walk away. She didn't, and she obtained the conversion of her husband, Paolo. In fact, he started to become a conciliator himself, and that didn't amuse part of the faction. He was murdered, and the sons, who were still only adolescents, were being drawn into the feud by Bernardo, their uncle, who wanted them, once they were adults, to obtain justice and vengeance, la vendetta. And Rita prayed that the Lord would take them if their life was going to lead to mortal sin. And so they died in grace before they were able to be influenced fully by Bernardo, who would probably have led them into some kind of bloodshed, the point of honour. Rita, like many other cloistered nuns, is hidden in her life, and true glory is not for humankind in this world. Humility is far more glorious than the limelight. Indeed, the limelight is dangerous. Even in the academic life, if one is purely studying for the glory of God and to obtain knowledge, then one is not studying to obtain glory in exams. The exams are a human verification that work is being done, but the optic is completely reversed in our times. Purity of intention should adjust many things. If we do the act of the present moment purely for the glory of God, offering it up, then we are free with regard to what people think of us. What matters is that we do all for the glory of God, looking unto Him.